Keiko's Diary.
Welcome to the Keiko's Diary podcast, where I get up close and personal with creatives to uncover the people behind the art. Without further ado, let's bring in today's guest, the princess of anime, Cherami Leigh.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Yes, how are you doing today, Cherami?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Really good. You know, Cherami, you've been an actress actually for most of your life. You're known.
I have.
You're known all over the world for being the voice of so many classic characters, including Lucy Heartfilia in Fairy Tale, Sailor Venus in Sailor Moon, Asuna Yuuki in Sword Art Online, Chloe Cerise in Pokémon Journeys the series, Makoto Niijima in the Persona franchise, Sonia in Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Yay.
Also Patty Thompson in Soul Eater, and of course also Sai Kashiwagi in Peach Girl, Isa in One Piece, Elizabeth Midford in Black Butler, also Kotaro Sato in Kotaro Lives Alone, and so many more, including Cyberpunk 2077, where you co-starred with the incredible Keanu Reeves. Epic!
Yes. Oh my gosh. Very surreal. Even now.
Exactly, because you've always admired his work, correct? And so that was a fun experience.
Always. And not just admired his work, which he's an incredible actor, and the films that he chooses and the work that he's done and the things that I've heard about him and getting to hear firsthand with people working with him, I admire him as a human being as well.
You've also done your fair share of live action roles, I've got to say, including appearances on Friday Night Lights, Walker, Texas Ranger, and even the film Holiday in Your Heart, where as a child you portrayed LeAnn Rimes.
It was very, very amazing. And it was very surprising too, because I mean, she's obviously blonde. I didn't think when I auditioned I looked anything like her, but they kept bringing me back in for callbacks. And I remember there was a girl who looked so similar to LeAnn Rimes, my mom and I thought. And I left and I looked at my mom and I said, I don't think I'm getting it. She said, I don't think you are either. And that's totally fine. If you had fun in the audition, that's all that matters.
Right.
And then my agent called like 3 weeks later and she said, so they picked Cherami and she has to go get her hair dyed this afternoon. So we went in and dyed my hair. My grandmother did not recognize me. But yeah, it was very interesting. They showed pictures of LeAnn when she was younger. And I looked very similar to the pictures of her when she was younger, and her family when they were looking at it. And when LeAnn was looking at it, they said, no, that is totally LeAnn when she was a kid, just brown hair instead of blonde.
Did you have more fun as a blonde?
I went back into school to get some of my homework when I was going to be gone filming. Nobody recognized me. My grandmother didn't recognize me the first time I came to the door. So I guess I was a little bit more mischievous as a blonde.
Why don't we kick things off with my favorite segment, the 60-second 411. Favorite color?
Purple.
Favorite movie?
Miss Congeniality.
Favorite song?
Ooh, that's so hard. It's got to be a Carole King song or a Sarah Bareilles song.
Ooh, favorite game?
Favorite game? I'm going to go with a Lego game because that was what I played when I was a kid, or Pokemon Snap.
Ooh, greatest fear?
Greatest fear, not being able to accomplish everything I want to in my life.
Philia, hot or cold weather?
Ooh, definitely cold weather I prefer.
Mm-hmm. Night owl or morning bird?
Morning bird.
Favorite singer?
Oh, Dolly Parton.
Favorite food?
Ooh, salad right now is my favorite.
Oh, favorite holiday?
Favorite holiday is Thanksgiving.
Ooh, biggest pet peeve?
Biggest pet peeve, people not being open-minded and compassionate.
Cats or dogs?
Oh, this is hard. I gotta go with cats because I have 2 at home.
If you had a superpower, what would it be?
Being able to know what people are feeling and take away their pain.
Who's your favorite Spice Girl?
Oh, Baby Spice.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's sweet.
That was the one I always was with all of my friends growing up when we would reenact Spice Girls and sing old songs.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Been there. So fun. Favorite subject in school?
Probably English or history.
Especially if you got a good storytelling type teacher for history.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That was my favorite. Teachers are magical.
And you are magical. Well done.
Aw, thank you.
The Spotlight.
And why don't we start off our conversation with Fairy Tail. I mean, Fairy Tail and Cherami Leigh just go together.
I love that show. It's been such a big part of my life for so long. The director and the writer were the same people that were working with us since the beginning, which that's usually very rare, but I've been very fortunate to get to do that on a couple legacy projects where I've gotten to stick with the same team, the same directors. And so then you get to feel like a family, not just with the cast and with the characters, but with the production team as well, which is really cool. But yeah, I never thought I would get cast as Lucy. When I did, I was so shocked and so excited. But I didn't at that time. I never would have imagined that I would get to play a character for over a decade. And I've been fortunate enough to get to do that a couple of times, which you never think that, lightning's going to strike once and then let alone multiple times. It's really, really great.
You have voiced her for all 9 seasons of the anime and 2 feature films. I've got to say, we're all looking forward to the 100 Years Quest.
I hope we get to do it. I miss her so much. I've had time away from Magnolia and the rest of the guild, and I just want to go back home and hang out with them.
Yeah, how did you feel when you first found out you would be playing Lucy? And just what has been your favorite memory of playing her over the years?
I remember everybody was talking about that show when we were auditioning for it. And I didn't initially audition for Lucy because I didn't think that I would be a good fit for the character. I wasn't sure what they were looking for, but I just thought it wasn't me. And then the director was like, just do your normal voice and just say a couple of lines. But I really wanted to work on the show. I was familiar with it. I had seen, I don't know if they had a lot of episodes out, but I'd seen a couple trailers and things like that. And I was like, this just looks like such a fun show. It's got comedy, it's got heart, it's got a lot of drama, and also it's magic, which I love. So I really wanted to work on it in some capacity. And then when they called and said that I would be playing Lucy, I thought it was a joke. So I was just caught off guard for at least the first couple of episodes. It's hard to say what my favorite moment recording. There's been so many great episodes and so many poignant moments where I think Lucy and I have connected in some ways, and she's definitely helped me find confidence in myself to take on other challenges or jump to the next stage in my life. But I think my favorite moment was that I'll never forget was when we premiered the series in New York. I think it was at New York Comic-Con, and the creator flew from Japan to come watch the show with us and see how it was received by an audience. And I remember Tyler Walker, our English director, was sitting with us, and Todd was sitting on the other side of Hiromashima, and he looked over at both of us after the first episode and gave a thumbs up and said, "So proud."
You can't get much higher approval than that. Yeah. It
was very cool. He brought us all little keychains of our characters and signed things for all of us. He was so wonderful.
Oh, that's the power of storytelling right there. It's something special.
Absolutely.
Sailor Moon probably rings a few bells when people hear it, possibly.
Yes.
It's possibly the most famous franchise to come from Japan, and it's just captivated generations of people around the globe. And you voice Minako, aka Sailor Venus.
Yes.
Now, I assume you auditioned for all of the Guardians, but was there one in particular you thought you might get?
I did audition for all of them, and Luna as well. Cool. For the first round. And I remember when the audition came through, I was so excited, and then fear immediately set in, and then I do what I normally do, which is procrastinate, because if I put it off until almost the deadline, then that dream is alive until I have to send the audition in. So I remember sending it in right at the last minute, because I was heading to a convention. I knew I was going to be getting on a plane, and so I was like, it's now or never, you have to do it. So I sent in all those auditions. I really didn't think that I would get cast as any of the Sailor Guardians. I thought maybe I would get cast as a recurring character or maybe a villain. I just really wanted to be a part of the show because, as you said, it is such it's a legendary title. It was one of the first shows that I watched as a kid that I knew was anime. And when I started working in anime when I was 17, I remember my mom bought me like the set of the dolls from the 90s. She was like, I know that the show's already out, but I remember you watched this as a kid and now you get to work in anime. So I have like the full set of the dolls from the 90s. And little did we know that I would get to work on the show years later. I actually found out that I got cast. I wasn't able to go to the callbacks in person, which I was devastated because I thought, well, this is it. I'm not going to get the job now. And they said, no, you could pre-record an audition for us and send it in. And so I sent in a callback for, I don't remember which characters it was, but they called me. I said, I can't come in town because I'm in Texas. I'm getting married this weekend. They were like, no worries, just send in a callback. And then they sent me an email when I was driving to my rehearsal dinner for my wedding and said, if you agree to these terms, which was getting to go to Sailor Moon Day and getting to work on the show and knowing that I was committing to multiple years of working on the show, they were like, we'd like to cast you. They didn't tell me who I was cast as. And then once I had said, yes, obviously, please, I'm in, whatever it is.
Yeah, Sailor Moon Day.
I thought, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to get to play, but I'm so excited. I got like a little message from the brand manager for Viz, who just sent me a little orange heart and said, I hope you like orange. And I was like, does that mean that I get to be friends with Sailor Venus? That I get to have like a conversation with her? Or still had no idea until I walked in to record who I was playing. And then it just was so overwhelming. I think Sailor Venus is probably the last one that I ever thought I would play. They said, do you have any orange in your closet? Because you have to wear orange for Sailor Moon Day. I was like, I gotta look for orange dresses. And so for years, I would start, once Sailor Moon Day was over, I would start looking for more orange dresses for next year. And now there's orange dresses everywhere. I think she started a trend. As we worked on the show, I'm like, we have so much in common. If I am any of them, I am absolutely this character.
Exactly.
So that was very fun to get to find that out as we're working on it. The entire team from Sailor Moon from previous versions have been so accepting and so kind. They, like, when we're at conventions and we see each other, they're so gracious and invite us to sit with them and want to sign with us and do panels with us.
Aww.
And that's just such a gift because you never know how people are going to respond because we all love these characters so much and we are all so protective of the cast and so protective of the characters that we play. And so very true to Sailor Moon. All of the previous Guardians have just embraced us into this huge family, which when we said like, oh, we didn't know how this was going to go. Well, of course that's how it's going to go because that's the Sailor Moon way.
Sword Art Online. It's also one of Japan's most famous franchises with light novels and anime, films, and video games. And you voiced the beloved Asuna Yuuki. Do you get protective or feel close to your characters?
Oh my gosh. I'm protective of all of them, whether I voiced them for 5 minutes or, 5 to 10 years. Obviously, if I've spent more time with them, we have more experiences together, and I'm a little bit more protective, a little bit more defensive of them. This show was the very first show that I worked on when I moved out to Los Angeles. It was the first anime that I had auditioned for. And when I moved out to LA, I had done a little bit more on-camera work, and I was having such a hard time finding a way to break into voiceover out here, even though I had done so much voiceover in Texas. And so this was my first audition, and I loved the show. I was so excited. I watched like the first 5 or 6 episodes and was hooked.
So different.
Yes, it was so different, and what was so special about the recording process is our writer and director Alex Von David and our producer Hiroe were present in every session beginning to end, and our writer director has a film background. Because the stakes are so high, I want this to be really real and really cinematic and really grounded, and so it was such a special way to get to blend the two things that I love, getting to do voiceover and film and getting to combine that into this performance. So it was very, very unique, and I love that both of them working with us on this team are so meticulous. They love this show as much as we do and as much as the fans do, and so they will do everything that they can to make sure that we have the time to make it as perfect as we want it to be. I've wanted to be an actor since I was really young. When you do get the role, there's an added pressure, not just of doing your best work for you, but knowing there's hundreds, maybe thousands of other actors that wanted this just as badly, and they're not here on set or in the booth. Right. And you kind of want to do them justice as well.
Oh, Cherami, that is one of the most beautiful ways I've ever heard that put. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
Start a book of poetry. Okay. Yeah, I was telling Todd Haberkorn earlier this season, he's got to write a book of poetry. You're next.
Haber poetry would be great. I just want one poem about how he haberfies things. That's all.
Pokémon is a series that first took over the world in the 90s, but it has remained at the forefront ever since. I, like so many others, grew up with this series, and you first appeared in the anime as Iris, but you really became cemented in the show's legacy when you voiced Chloe. Were you a Pokemon fan prior to this? And how did you get into the zone to play a character like Chloe?
I had played the card game with my brother. We would go Saturday mornings to like a comic shop and play the game. He was always better than me, so he definitely played longer because my self-esteem was crushed the amount of times that he just like annihilated me.
Right.
But my husband is also a huge Pokemon fan. We recorded most of this season during the pandemic, so I was recording from home. And I couldn't tell my husband what I was working on, so it's hard to be recording Pokemon and then keeping a secret from Pokemon. It even got a little more challenging when I got to voice Grookey, and then he got a little confused and was like, "Are you making Pokemon noises?" I was like, no. Chloe, I've really loved her arc. She's a little unconventional, and it was kind of nice to get to channel that as someone who's like finding their way in the Pokemon universe. And she has this legacy with her dad. My mom's a dance teacher, so I could definitely understand what it's like to be the teacher's daughter. And then getting to see her find her footing with her Pokemon partner, that was so special. I have a cat at home who also has a very fluffy tail, just like an Eevee, and so it was very easy. It was very easy to get to voice Chloe. She's just so sweet. She has a little bit of sass, which I would oftentimes I'd go, "Oh, this is a child-friendly show. Do I need to pull back my dry sense of humor or my sarcasm?" They're like, "No, we love it. Put it in there. That's great."
Have you ever?
Okay, Cherami. Cool. Have you ever gone skydiving?
I have not, and I don't think I ever will.
Have you ever touched a snake?
I have, yes. I love animals, even crazy little reptiles.
Have you ever broken your phone?
I probably break it just by having it for too long.
Have you ever been betrayed?
Hopefully I did enough healing work on it to have let it be on its own. But yeah, I can't think of anything that was like super huge, but I feel like we all experience little tiny amounts of betrayal at some point in our life that always in the moment feels like the worst possible thing ever.
Have you ever cried in public?
Yes, all the time. I cry all the time.
Have you ever broken any bones?
I had a hairline fracture in each of my wrists, and then I broke my ankle, all of which were just like silly things that I was doing. One of them was a gymnastics injury. I was doing a beam routine on a fence because my coach told me to practice all the time, and I took that literally. You should never do a beam routine on a fence, if anybody is wondering. And then the other one was a cheerleading injury because I was a base. And then I was running after doing a workout earlier in the day, and I was like, "Man, I'm feeling great. I could go for another mile." And I guess my ankle was letting me know, like, no.
Okay, have you ever exploded with rage?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. As a feeler, I feel all the feelings. So when I get very passionate about something and I get very frustrated, especially if something's happening to somebody that I care about or somebody that I feel very empathetic towards, I get very passionate. I want to go out and like fix the world and change the injustice. A very Makoto thing to say, I guess.
Have you ever been cheated on?
I haven't been, which I'm very grateful for.
Have you ever seen a ghost?
I certainly have like felt the presence of a ghost or a paranormal energy nearby. So I definitely have felt it and known it's there, or felt like a cold energy, or seen like, lights flicker or the TV go on and off.
Have you ever seen a UFO?
No, but I've always wanted to. I think that would be so fun.
Have you ever run away?
I just never could do it. I would think too practically far ahead and be like, this isn't a smart decision. And usually I was like, well, I'd miss my family. Or, what if I had an audition? Or and I immediately was like, yeah, it's not worth it. I guess I'm too much of a responsible person to other people that I always choose against it.
Have you ever done something crazy?
This is one of my favorite things about being an actor is a lot of the things that I would never be brave enough or crazy enough or confident enough to try when it's in a script. I'll do it as the character because I'm trying on, the character is my companion to help me navigate that world. And then at the end of the day, I realize, no, I did that. I'm a little braver than I thought. So I think I do crazy things through the characters and then realize that I'm a little bit stronger and a little bit more brave than I thought I was.
Have you ever tried something and regretted it?
I think what I regret more is not trying a lot of things, like feeling that I need to, playing it too safe.
Have you ever pulled an all-nighter?
So many all-nighters through school, needing to get projects done, all of that kind of stuff. I've definitely pulled an all-nighter going shopping with my mom. We love to get to hang out, and I love spending time with my mom.
Have you ever been terrified? Playing
characters, I get terrified. I've gotten terrified in car accidents. I've been terrified when I'm up for a big role and it's me and another person. It's like, there's so much pressure. You want to do such a great job. You can see what would happen if you got it, if you didn't. And it's there's so much adrenaline. It's a terrifying experience. So yeah, anytime there's been any sort of close calls with my safety or the people that I love, or if there's been health challenges with my family members, that's always terrifying. So yeah, I definitely have experienced that.
Fan mail.
First, we have a message for you from Cosmic Dawn. They said, I just want to tell you how awesome you are, and watching Fairy Tale helped me get through some bad times. Thank you.
Aww. Well, thanks for watching the show. And obviously, if you watch the show, you're a member of the Fairy Tale Guild. So it's lovely to get to have you in the guild.
The Velvet Room Chill. They said, my personal favorite role of yours was Rhea from Three Houses. It was such a deep and complex character, and I loved how much range she had. You made her sound very motherly and kind at times, as well as downright scary at other times. What was it like to voice a character like Rhea?
Very intimidating at the time because she's so powerful when they tell you her backstory and everything that she's gone through. It is so overwhelming. And then I kept trying to figure out how do I make this character sound powerful? And I remember the note that Patrick Seitz, the director, would tell me. He's like, you don't have to try. That's the thing. She just is powerful. She does not try. She's just settled into that. People always ask, how do you get to her rage place where she's so angry, she's so aggressive? And that's probably the easiest when you think about her backstory and what she's been through is all of the pain and the hurt and the justice that she wants to, that she kind of wants for her mother and her lineage in that way. You can definitely see where all of that pain would turn into such aggression and hurt. And it's nice to get to voice that and have it all rolled into one.
Okay, we got another question from my hero, Sean Mania. He said, what is it like being in projects with Todd Haberkorn?
Todd is lovely. I've worked with Todd. I think he and I started sort of the same time. So kind of got to experience going to conventions and navigating that whole world around the same time. And certainly working on Fairy Tale. We've done audiobooks together. We've gotten to do fun signings together. I've gotten to see him grow and get to see what he's gotten to accomplish in his career. And it's been very fun to get to work with him. Anytime I get to work with him, I know it's going to be a blast.
Another one from the Persona character of the day. They said, how surprised were you when you saw how popular Makoto Niijima was in Persona 5? Did you ever expect her to become a very popular and beloved character?
I was familiar with the franchise and knew that it was a beloved franchise. And it was always such cool concepts, such great storylines. As soon as the game came out, the initial game, we were like, well, hopefully people will like it. We were blown away. I remember all of us were like, is this normal? This feels very overwhelming. We were, so pleasantly surprised by the overwhelming amount of love. And still from the fans and the cosplayers, and everybody is so supportive, and they just love these characters and they love the franchise. And it's been so fun to get to be a part of. Yes, it's always nice anytime anybody comes up and lets me know that Makoto is best girl in their opinion. But I'm like, that is such a huge compliment, because if you've played the game, you know there's not a bad character in the game at all.
Truly.
So as long as somebody plays the game and loves any character, I'm so thrilled.
We have one more question from Lonely Sloth. They're wondering, do you have a favorite line as Lucy or Venus?
Well, I love getting to do a Venus power makeup. That's always fun. Or
awesome.
Open gate of the golden bull, Taurus. She'll always say that her spirits are not people that fight for her. She fights with them, because they're not people that do her bidding. They are her friends, and they are people that she will fight for because she cares about them. I love those kinds of moments. I also love anytime Minako gets to misquote. That's always so fun.
The Deep Dive.
Cherami, if a genie could grant you 3 wishes, what would they be?
Man, one wish would be that I would get to create a series or a project that I have written, and that it would be distributed. That would be something that I would choose to wish for. The other one would be good health for my family.
Yeah.
That's something that I would wish for. And then the third wish, we've all had a very hard last couple of years. I feel like it seems like it's been harder the last few years than ever before. So I would hope for a more loving and a more peaceful world for all of us to get to live in, because I feel like we've all been through enough.
Are you afraid of death? That's a deep one.
You know, I'm not necessarily afraid of death. And what would come after that. I would just be afraid in the moment before of everything that I didn't get done that I wanted to do in this life.
What is your biggest regret?
Ooh, biggest regret is letting the inner voice in my head, that little inner critic, rule my life and make me afraid of taking chances and playing it too safe.
I gotta say, it looks like things have turned out pretty good for you regardless.
Yes.
What is your earliest memory of life?
Either playing dolls, playing with Barbies in my dollhouse, or getting to play in the playroom at my grandmother's house, because my grandmother has always lived. She lives across the street from my parents now, but she lived right next door to us before. So I would get to go over and play in this room that had green carpet. It was like mint green carpet. So we called it the green room, and that was like my playroom. So I remember playing as a kid and being creative and creating these stories and these things that were going on in this world, and letting my imagination run wild in those special places.
Speaking of, at MLA Entertainment, we always say, keep being creative. I just really believe in nurturing people's creativity. That's
amazing.
Yeah, since you have been so successful in pursuing your dreams and making them come true, what does being creative mean to you? And how has it impacted your life and career? Any advice?
It's just essential to being kind of a joyful person, because that's the way that we explore our feelings and explore the world around us and get out of the kind of whenever we're feeling stuck. Creativity is the way that we break through that. So I've talked to so many of my friends that will say like, oh, I'm just not a creative person. And I say, everyone is a creative person.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do this professionally. Sometimes it's harder when you are in a creative field to be able to keep the joy of creativity, because there's so much pressure, because you do it for a living and you have to be competitive with it. So you feel like you have to be your best. And sometimes that keeps you from kind of exploring or taking as many creative risks, because there's more at stake. Find some sort of other creative outlet where there are no stakes. And that's something that I always have to remind myself of, because I notice when I don't have a creative outlet that's not related to work, I kind of start feeling a little bit more frustrated and a little bit more depressed, because my only creativity is tied to my work. And then there is the component of success or failure. And you don't want that with your creativity. You want to be able to go to a sewing class and just get to learn and not need to have this perfect project that's going to be sold or judged or whatever the case is. So just finding ways to be creative, even if it's just coloring or writing things down or dancing in your house. Do things low stakes creativity that's just for you.
I would just like to give you the floor to tell the viewers about any upcoming projects you've got coming out or just anything you'd like to share.
Street Fighter 6, I got to voice Manon, which was very fun to get to do a French accent. Since my name is French, it means dear friend in French, so that was very cool to get to play a character with that aspect of my heritage. And then I also got to work on Zelda, Persona 5 Tactica, which is very exciting. That will be out soon. I think in November. Just in time you can play it on Thanksgiving or Christmas break. Or Hanukkah break. The new DLC for Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty, I think that's coming out in September. So that was very fun. And we get to add another legendary actor to the Cyberpunk family with Idris Elba. So that was very special to get to work with him. Possible new season of Black Butler. Hopefully we'll get to do the dub. Hopefully we get to do a dub for 100 Year Quest. I know there's a new season of Panty and Stocking. Hopefully we'll get to do a dub of that. So a lot of exciting possibilities on the horizon. I'm Cherami Leigh, and for MLA Entertainment, keep being creative.
Hey you! You can help support the Keiko's Diary podcast by liking, subscribing, and sharing it with your friends. Sounds like you're pretty powerful. Thank you for listening, and keep being creative.